Hi, welcome to Heaven. This is Julia Kibilda.
And this is Raquel Alves.
And today we're drinking this leftover wine that was in my fridge for the past 3 days. It is bread.
That's all we know about it.
Yes.
So, how have you been? How's been your week?
I'm good. I'm excited for my trip next week to New York. My first time there. Sex and the City vibes, although we'll see how much sex will actually be involved. Stay tuned for the next episode to find out more about that. And how are you? How's your life been?
Well, my life has been alright. I'll say that I have no upcoming exciting trips, but it's been okay. I've been enjoying the busy London as it is. So, what is it all about? Who are we?
So, this is a podcast where we'll get together and discuss various topics relating to womanhood and look at current events and trends from basically which is the female perspective.
And all of this over a glass of wine because a girl needs to cope. It ain't a sweet ride for all of us girlies.
If you want to join us, get yourself a glass of wine and welcome to Heaven in this chaotic pilot episode where we talk about double standards in the workplace, girl economy,
and Julia's planning to kill all men with deodorant. Enjoy.
Cheers.
Basically, girls bring the economy together because even with inflations, we're still going to Taylor Swift concerts and go see Barbie in the theaters. And I feel like people all the time underestimate this type of girl power in a lot of quotation marks. We go buy anything that's targeted well to us.
And without us, they wouldn't be able to sell shit besides male deodorant, And even that is for us because who man wants to smell nice for us? So,
Yes.
It all comes down
it's
to...
like a revert of male gaze. It's everything the men do is for us.
Of course. At least that's what we want to tell ourselves to, make ourselves feel better.
True.
But it is true. They do think of us in a way, even if it's really twisted and they, think of us as stupid and incompetent. We can still use it against them. So,
yeah, I feel like that's the true femininity right there.
I feel like if you release a deodorant that was poisonous to men when you market it as a super masculine thing that's going to attract a lot of chicks and make you have sex with a lot of girls, we could just kill all men in a few months.
Very easy. I remember seeing this video, which was I don't know if you would send me this or if I saw it on my own. I don't remember, but it was a girl comparing the hygienic products of women, the names to the men. So imagine a shampoo was organza and soft magnolia scent lemon breeze. And then the man is Power Blast shampoo 3+ energy. And it was very funny.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You can really make men into buying anything if you use the right language. Just manipulate them and tell them it will make them strong and big and get a lot of sex and they will want it.
So your goal is to just kill the men?
Yes. I mean, I still need them, as we established, I do need men for personal pleasure, but, and some of them are actually quite nice, very few exceptions, but, at least we can manipulate them to our own will, because they're poor unaware creatures that actually think they are the ones in charge, but...
We have someone who's very salty over here, and I think you need to rant about your work placement because I feel like it's coming through without you actually saying it, and we are for the truth here, so I think you should just spit it out.
Oh my god, I feel like I will join you in your unemployment after this, but okay.
We just
I don't know, but I feel like you find awareness when you actually start doing things. So when I started working in a company, I encountered a lot of men who have way less skills than I, a new employee, do, and yet they hold much higher positions than I do, and they get away with so much more than I do. They feel zero pressure and zero stress, and they just float around with no awareness about anything whatsoever, and they think they're so great at what they do, which amuses me so much, because any girl on my team can see that they're not.
Yeah, I've also noticed that at least in these office type of works, like white collar like jobs,
Yeah.
there's way more women working on those spaces, like way more, and yet the men on those spaces are the ones who tend to be promoted more easily and quicker.
Exactly. See, I've been in my company for a year, and we recently had a guy join as a fucking freelancer, and after a month, he got promoted to creative director.
Yeah.
And I've been there for a year, and I can't even get like account director from account manager. I've been asking for it for like, weeks. And everyone sees it, and everyone is like, oh, like, they even call me that, like, in meetings, like, involuntarily, and yet, like, my position in my contract is still what it was a year ago. And then we have my manager, who should have been fired, like, way earlier. And he's still there. He gets away with anything that he does, and yet I make one mistake, and I immediately get told off for it, and I get, like, an emergency meeting,
which is like no mistake. That has, I mean, we're not going to speak about exactly things that happen, but like it's not a mistake in the same, like,
it's not the same scale, it's like
exactly.
I make like a tiny mistake and all of my work is excellent, and then this guy has been like doing nothing, and then he like really fucks up, and yet he's still here, so it's really annoying. And then he would only involve himself in like projects that he knows he's gonna get a lot of credit for, that are good projects, or he would make me do like the legwork of them and then take the credit for them himself, which is really annoying. And I really try to not let him do that, but then like there's as much as you can do really in the end. And the thing is that everyone else sees that, besides the other men obviously, but I mean all the girls in my team, and there's nothing we can do about that, because it's like an attitude thing as well. I think like we are sort of afraid to like speak about it and make that change ourselves, whereas the guys just have no remorse whatsoever, so they would just like do whatever pleases them and whatever works for them. We need to be doing it more, and we need to like show them where their place is.
Yeah. I feel like in the company that I worked for, like I feel there was not as many problems of that kind. However, I did notice, for example, that comparison of like almost around the same position. So we have like this manager who was a woman, and the manager was a man. And I did notice, for example, when it's like external meetings, they are both quite assertive. They're very well, like they talk very well, like they have very good rhetoric, blah, 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 and presenting. And they're legit, to me, they're both the same. And within the company, they were treated the same. However, I really see like an external like meeting with like people outside of the company, that they were much more amiable towards the man when he was one presenting it than towards the woman. Who they're both managers, they do the same thing, and they're both really great at their jobs. I personally really like them both, even from a personal level. But I saw they were much more amiable towards him, and even like making jokes or like being friendly. While with her, they were much more rigid.
Yeah.
And it's probably like they don't trust her as much. I didn't like her as much, and I'm sorry, but like the only reason you cannot like is there's only one difference between them two, because the work is the same, presentation is the same, personality is the same.
Yeah, this is exactly what happens in our job, and the thing is that like the girls actually do a much better job than the guy who's on my team. And then the thing is that like when he contacts the client, he's like, oh, we need to push the deadline by 2 days. The client is like, oh yeah, okay, fine, cool, just like accepts it. Whereas if we try to do that, the girls, we are always like met with, resistance, and like this shifted against us, or like, the clients are like trying to push things and blame them on us. Whereas like when he gets involved, they always like say, oh, okay, fine, like, we'll reassess. Yeah. And it's really frustrating, because in the end I know we're doing the better job, and yet it's the one who gets involved. He always gets his way, which is frustrating. And the most frustrating thing, I think, is that like often the people from the other side are also women, and they still like perpetuate like the same stereotype.
But I think it's very like I think it's something that's like impregnated on us from a very early age. Even like that saying of like boys will be boys is like, women also like mothers also perpetuate that when you have like 2 kids, one is a boy, one is a girl, and they're like both 8 years old. And if the boy is like just messing around, you might like say, oh, stop, but you're not gonna like make him go like put the table. But the girl, you will.
True.
Or like things like that, like the girl would always have more responsibilities in the house, and the boy is like, oh, just let him have fun or whatever. Like, oh, he doesn't make his bed, it's fine, he's just a boy. But the girl you're gonna say, and this happens up to this day, I know because my mom is a teacher, so she knows like a lot about like kids, and she sees these through just talking through parents, blah blah blah, in like those meetings between like parents and students. And it's still a thing today. Like, so the problem is not just on men, but like women too, who like see these things as normal as well.
That's true. Yeah, it's really fucked up, to be honest.
So it starts from a very early age of like, you're entitled to do whatever with not much big consequences of that kind of, because those little things are things that really matter and then keep on going. Like this thing of like not having consequences with a mistake then progresses onto like your work life as an adult. And if someone tells you off, you really don't understand.
That's true.
So as you were saying, like when we were off and not on mic, like there's really like a lack of self-awareness in a lot of men.
No, it's really true. Like I remember having this conversation with like a guy that I dated, and he would be like, oh, like if you're looking for like other jobs, just like ask for twice your salary. And I was like, this is something I'll never do, you know, like I just don't think I deserve it. And then like I'm pretty sure he would be the one who would do that, and he would get it like very easily.
Yeah. But even that idea of like he has like,
even that idea that he has
doing
that
it,
he would do it, and he would
for him
think
it's
that
like
would work.
And you as a woman always see that would never work because your realities are already different from the start of that
exactly
thought.
So for me it's almost funny, you know, like saying something like that, it's almost like a fucking joke, and he said it really seriously, and I was like, what do you mean, you know, like obviously I'm not gonna do that would never work. And in a sense, thinking that way, you're already like depriving yourself of an opportunity, because, you know, maybe it would happen, probably not because you're a girl, but
yeah, that's the thing, like probably would actually not happen, and that's why we act that way, or we've been conditioned so much that way that we would never even try.
That's true.
We're always fucked in whatever scenario that is.
Exactly. That's why we should manipulate men and weaponize our own incompetence that they imposed on us and turn it against them. You know, there is this Polish movie that I always tell everyone to watch, which is called like Sex Mission. And it's basically about like how women like overtake the society, and these like two men like find themselves as like get transported into this new world where like women are empowered, they like self-reproduce and stuff, and it's so forward and so great, and it was done like in the 80s or even earlier than that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such an iconic thing, and I think it really is coming at some point.
I think you told me about that film before, and I think I saved it, but I'm not able to find it anywhere.
I know, it's really hard. I need to find like a DVD or something, but I would really like to watch it again.
You're in the mood.
I am, and get some ideas, you know, girl power. No, don't get me wrong, like I do love men, they're fun to like be around, and they have some benefit.
That was so patronizing, I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, shifting the dynamics here. But it's really sad when you gain that awareness, because, you know, like I think like, you know, me and you, like we were quite lucky in a sense of being brought up in an environment when you're taught like you can't do anything you want because you have supportive parents, and you've never been faced with that big of a discrimination in like your early life in a sense.
And you were like not only that, but like also allowed to think on your own.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, allowed to also be ambitious.
Exactly. And then kind of you hit that like class ceiling in a sense, because you go into work and then you see all those men getting away with things that you can't get away with, and all of those men putting like 50% of the effort that you're putting in, and then achieving like 200% of what you're achieving for like no reason. And it's really, really frustrating because, you know, whenever they ask for something, it gets done immediately, and whenever I ask for something, I have to, you know, ask for it 3-4 times for something to actually change, and for my opinion to be like,
the door just opened on its own. The guy looked in. Is that the guy?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Why did it open?
Oh my god. And the guy went in up. Is it that guy?
I think so.
Because he passed and he looked, and I was holding a microphone.
Oh my god, that's so funny. I'm more creeped out by the fact that the fucking door opened on its own.
I know, it opened on its own.
But I think it wasn't fully, it must have not been like fully, we must have not like shut it completely.
I hope.
No, because it never opened before and I've lived here for like 3 months, so you know. It must have been like not fully
Okay.
pleasant.
Alright. Anyway.
Intermission.
Anyway, I was gonna say, even because of the company I was more progressive in terms of thinking and even on hiring. However, you can totally see like that this is definitely like a systemic issue that like of course you need to like take measures against it, but you can see how all of the issue it is when sure like there was way more women hired in my company. Like, I would say easily 70% were women.
Yeah.
Yet the founders were like 5 or 6 and 5 of them were men, only 1 woman in it. So all the money was in the men. So it's like, yeah, you have a lot of women hired and women who are managers, but still the power is all mostly on men. So, you know, in proportion, like 90% of the founders are men and they're the ones who had the money.
Yeah, it's exactly the same in my company. We have 3 guys who are the founders, including 2 creative directors, and now we hired another creative director who's also a guy, and then we have only 1 art director that's a woman, and then we have like 6 managers. 5 of us are girls. Yeah. 1 of us is a guy,
and it's the one who gets away with everything.
Who gets away with everything, and you know, does 0 work and does nothing. And in a way, like, some of the people in management see it, but I think it's so like ingrained they don't realize like the full scale of it. So it's only when something really big happens.
Or it's like you still do the work, so whatever. We're
not
gonna bother with it.
It's really annoying because like you get to see it like firsthand and you get annoyed over these little things, but then you kind of don't even bother to mention it because you know like nothing is going to change.
Yeah, and I feel like we can like do like a nice like jump into like the other topic, where it's like you go into the workforce and it's obviously very imbalanced, and I think that's why a lot of women and girls tend to find such a refugee online. And that's why all these like when we say like, oh, in a girl economy, there's like this very like kind of trendy like audio which is from like a YouTuber. It's like, you know, hot girls are working, girls are blogging, girls are having like girl dinner, girl math, everything is girl. And like the internet is pretty much, of course there's also like spheres that are mostly like men targeted, but the mainstream internet is very female dominated, and it's like a space that we have way more power on, even economically, and we see it in a lot of things, from not just consumer goods, but like even more stuff like traveling and like culturally with concerts and all that kind of stuff.
That's true.
And like, you know, restaurants and blah blah blah. Like my boyfriend looks up to like a lot of female influencers to like go places to go eat, places to go visit. Most of them, there's men too, but most of them are women who make those videos, who make that content.
Yeah, it's like 90%.
So it makes a lot of sense that the majority of like influencers is women and girls, because it's like a space that you own it yourself.
Yeah, it's the space where we can like hold power and have actual like impact on, in a sense. So
it is like, sure, like we can make fun of a lot of influencers and there's a lot of silly people out there, but internet has been a lot of a free space for a woman economically.
That's true.
To run more power than a man. And a woman online has more power than a man, actually, just by putting her face up.
Yeah.
And that obviously also comes from not obviously like the sexualization of women, but like you kind of use that up for yourself, and you're the one who's taking advantage of it and not the other way around. And that was like a very big shift, I would say.
Yes, reclaiming the power.
Yes.
We love that. Slay. You know, and people like have been commenting about like, oh, like girl dinner and like girl economics, like girl math. It's just like kind of emphasizing the infantile nature of girls, but I think like it's actually us like reclaiming that and making fun of it ourselves so that other people don't get to make fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I've been seeing so many videos about like boy math is saying you don't want to have kids but I'm not having any condoms on hand and things like that.
Oh, that's so horrible.
Or like, you know, boy math is saying you're like 6'2" and you're actually 5'9" and stuff like that.
I'm sorry, but like if you make fun of girl math and that's what you have to bring to the table, that's just sad.
It's so true. Like we're just like trying to make a sense of community for ourselves and kind of like find common ground and stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's like true to us as a gender and like as girls, and it's quite cool.
Yeah, I think that's also why we say mostly girl instead of woman, because when I was seeing these videos of like analyzing girl dinner, something that is very interesting, and it's true that like it is fun when you say girl dinner, because what you imagine is just probably a young woman, like in her sofa in her own like either room that is shared or like in her own independent household, having like a few like food that is not a conventional dinner for herself, for her own pleasure. While if you would think about the same situation as a woman, you see more of like a sad environment of a woman alone in her kitchen.
That is very
that is like
true.
Older. And I think the reason why we use girl is because we connect it more to like the pre-woman condition of like just being happy before all the shit,
acceptation,
all the shit that comes through as being a woman, as you know, we're both facing in our work placements. And that is why I think it's mostly girl, because it connects to the pre-woman shit that all women face. Unfortunately, a lot of girls also go through, but I think it's more connected to that non-corrupted youth, let's say. It sounds a bit deep, but like, to be honest, I think that's why the word girl becomes more attractive than the word woman, which is an issue on its own, but that'll be like a topic for another day.
Oh, that sounded really bad.
I know, right?
Yeah, we'll also go back to this. It's like another kind of worms.
Look at how that picked our laugh. Yikes. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. Love girls.
Love girls.
Girl power.
Girls love girls. Girls keep loving girls.
Girls love everyone, you know, that's the thing. And then boys hate everything, including themselves. So this is why we have issues.
And this is why we need more girls, women, female podcasts. Because in that realm, men are winning. They have a lot of podcasts about a lot of bullshit. And we need to like take that shit back.
Yes.
But yeah. Do you have anything else more to say? Like, do you want to share any more thoughts, any more stuff?
I don't know. I always have a lot of thoughts, but you know, like, these are such big topics. It's like...
True, we need some research.
We need research, we need arguments, but I hope we can have cool conversations here and make people think about stuff and relate as well. A lot of girls, hopefully. And then boys too, so they can get educated and see world from our perspective and how fucked up it is, and maybe reflect on their own actions every now and then in a while. Like think, you know, with something else than your penis. That would be cool.
Exactly. So basically our podcast is heaven. Is the heaven for us girls in the middle of all these like male awful podcasts out there. Exactly.
It's a little refuge, you know?
Yeah, that's us. Thank you so much for listening.
Well, to you next week.
I would love to give them some kind of like socials, but there isn't any. So stay tuned.
Also, we need to say MIA because I just chatted a lot of shit about my job and I still don't want to get fired. So, you know.
It's fine. Everything we said was allegedly. There you
go. We will neither affirm nor deny this is based on true events.
Exactly.
But it is an accurate representation of the girl world.
Yeah, of the real world out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.